Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. Start off with Katie and Brooke. So, Katie comes over, and Brooke is sitting there asking what's been going on with her, and Katie talks about Dollar Bill and how she's uncertain of their future, and I'm just like, what? What do you mean you're uncertain of your future with him? I specifically remember watching that episode where she talked about how Bill made her feel throughout the years. And I'm pretty sure she said something along the lines of practically when hell freezes over before she ever gives this man a chance. And she literally talked in depth about how he made her feel with Brooke and how she made, she felt like less of a person. I mean, it was just like, damn. So to hear her sit there and say, well, it's uncertain, it's like, what do you mean it's uncertain? I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, it was absolutely certain. I don't know what they're doing with her at this point. I mean, it seems like they're leaning towards her and Carter, but then, somebody was into saying rumors that he may leave. I just, like, what are you doing with her? Anyway, they switch over to Brooke, and Brooke is into talking about, her marriage is more or less on the rocks. She wants to, she wants to sit there and stand by her daughter's decision. She doesn't feel that Deacon has been a threat so far. She feels that he's trying to change his life around. But at the same time, she doesn't want to sit there and feel like she's alienating Ridge, which, I mean, Ridge at this point, the guy comes across as entitled, butthurt, and just a whole bunch of different other adjectives I'm not going to describe. And if you've been watching my reviews so far, at this point, you know how I feel about Ridge. But for some odd reason, and I get that, they're married, and she loves him, and she wants to sit there and, she doesn't want to do this to him. She doesn't want to make him feel alienated. And you would sit there and think that Ridge would kind of see it a little bit from her point of view. I get it. I don't want Deacon to be in our lives, but she wants to support her daughter. I understand that. I respect that. But nope. Nope. So, let's talk about Steffy and Thomas for a minute. So Steffy is pretty much asking Thomas to play 21 questions about, who's the latest visitor at her house. So after a while, she's like, his mom, she's back, and then she starts talking about how great her mother is, and she goes all around the world, and this, that, and the third, and she's so loving and compassionate, especially compared to that she-devil Brooke, pretty much. That's literally what she was saying. And I know that some people was feeling like, Taylor didn't really miss that much of her life, but regardless how small those storylines was as far as her drug addiction, her accident and everything like that, she should have been on that first plane home. She should have left whatever she was doing to go down there. She should have been there for a wedding. She should have been there for the birth of her grandchild. She should have been there for that stuff. But she wasn't because she was too busy helping the world. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But at the end of the day, your children come first. And regardless of how people feel about Brooke, and granted, I don't know this for sure, just guessing and speculating, that Brooke was there for that stuff. Brooke was there. And I'm assuming, so if I'm wrong, and Brooke really wasn't there for the birth of her child and, through drug addiction and stuff like that, let me know in the comments. The point is, even if Brooke wasn't there, Taylor wasn't there either. So for Steffy to sit there and try to, put these blinders on like she is just amazing, epic person, and this, that, and the third, is crap. It's crap. I'm not saying, I get that Taylor has responsibilities, but at the end of the day, your children are your greatest and topmost priority. Period. So I don't understand why she kept painting this picture. You know, Thomas and Smith, they're kind of agreeing more or less. But then again, Thomas is like, you know, Brooke isn't like, you know, terrible. You know, like she's not like the worst thing on the planet. And Stephanie was like, yeah, I know she's not Sheila, but, you know, I'm like, no, she's not Sheila. I mean, she's not perfect. I mean, there's a lot of times when she sit there and just open her mouth sometimes and say things and be like, what? Like, specifically with the whole, I can't remember her name. The one that Carter was there going out with. Her name really escapes me right now. I forget her name, but the point is, you know, Brooke has come out her mouth and say some really dumb stuff. Especially as far as, like, calling Eric's wife a cheater, this, that, and the third. I'm like, really, Brooke? But, you know, I get that, you know, they're having problems and, you know, she's clearly going to side with her dad, but, like, those are marital problems. You know? Like, they're going to happen. And I'm not saying Brooke is perfect, but don't sit there and try to demonize her and try to uplift Taylor like she's the best thing on the planet. It just bothers me. Now, Taylor and Ridge just caught up. That's pretty much what they did. And, you know, Taylor was feeling a little kind of guilty that she missed a lot of stuff in Steffi's life. What does Ridge do? It's cool. You'll be there for the next moments. It's, you know, you're around the world. You know, you couldn't sit there and disappoint all those people. But she can disappoint her daughter instead? Like, no. Just Ridge giving her free passes, and there was something that Ridge said that was like, it wasn't alarming, but it was like, bro, really? When he was talking about her smile and stuff like that, it was like, that's one of the things that I love about you. Not one of the things that I love, like past tense, like, you're with Brooke. This is one of those things that I love about you. Like, currently. And I'm like, bro, I mean, let me just ask everyone something for a minute. If your significant other was sitting there talking about their ex, and they said that, you know, it's one of the things I love about you, I don't give a damn what it is. Unless it's something that's really bad, and you know that you're like 1,000 times better, wouldn't that just rub you the wrong way? Especially if they don't use it in past tense. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching, I was like, I'm sorry, what? I mean, you can clearly see there's this flirting that's going on back and forth between those two. You know, my whole thing is like, I feel like Ridge and Brooke are gonna have a fight. He's gonna be drinking or whatever. He's gonna come to Taylor. You know, Taylor was meant to give him compliments left and right. I was like, sweetheart, you do realize that he is married, right? Like, you realize that that's the thing, like the ring that's on his finger? No? You're just gonna totally bypass that? Okay, cool. And he's gonna wind up cheating on Brooke with Taylor. It's gonna be exactly what Steffi wants. Mostly Steffi, and Thomas a little bit too, but yeah. I think that's about it for the most part. This episode wasn't really great. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like the worst thing ever. But I felt like a lot didn't really happen. I know that's kind of a thing I'm starting to notice with B&B, is that there's not a lot of stuff that happens, and usually when you're watching an episode, let's say you're watching an episode Monday, and like Tuesday happens, it's like Tuesday just feels like a continuation of Monday's episode, more or less. They'll put in like a sprinkle, a little bit of different stuff in it, but for the most part, it's kind of the same. So, for the most part. So my question is, because I know I've been a little bit kind of negative Nancy about this, what are the things that people like about this show? Like, what are the highlights that people like about this show? And I'm not talking about like in the early 90s or whatever, because I feel like with just most soap operas in general, the 90s, maybe early 2000s was like the peak of some of these shows. I know it was with GH, because now it's we get some great stories every now and then, but for the most part, so my question is, what are some of the great stories that happened, like, I don't know, 3 years ago? Like from 3 years ago to now. What are some of the great things, or like stories that happened? What are some of the great things that you like about this show? That is something that I am seriously sitting there trying to look for. I'm going to be honest, I think I mostly like this show because it's something different. It's not GH and Days for the most part. It's still kind of new to me. So, I like the scenery. I'm a huge fan of LA. I've only been there for like a day, but like I love like the landscapes and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think this show is terrible. I don't want to say it's better than Y&R, because Y&R I was still getting used to, so I can't really fully judge that yet. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.